I thought to share a personal experience when it comes to doing readings, and on the occasion while doing a reading that there's an energy, there's a force that somehow comes in and sort of puts you at a halt when doing a reading. Sometimes it's a feeling of I'm not going to say anxiousness. It's a different kind of feeling where you're doing your reading, but it's almost like you're getting energy from the person that you're reading to. And this came up when I was speaking online to Ikale Sunflower, known as B, on YouTube, and she was sharing some experiences that she's had when it comes to doing readings, and especially when you're working with someone specifically. They can have a straightforward question, but then all of a sudden something comes in and either elates you, or it sort of puts you at pause, or maybe puts some caution to you. And so I was giving B some of my feedback when it comes to situations like that, because it can be startling as a reader, and you're working with all these different energies, whether it's online or in person, and also your level of sensitivity. If you're empathic, you'll definitely pick up on people's energies. Empath is a little different from being intuitive. Empath is an intuitive trait, but it's something that is highly sensitive, and you feel it almost wherever you go, and you pick up on the vibrations, the sensation of going to someone's home, entering someone's car, going into a store, all these different energies. And with some people, it can be crippling because it puts them to a point to where it can be overwhelming, and they have to stop for a moment. So I wanted to do this video with the inspiration of this conversation I had with B, and some of the things that we can do to protect ourselves, or how to address a situation if it does arise when doing a reading for someone. And again, this applies if you're reading for someone in person or online. And it's very, very rare, but I've had experiences where I'm doing a reading for someone, don't know the person, and I remember one situation where I just got overwhelmed. I got overwhelmed with grief. And the question that I was doing the interpretation for had nothing to do with had nothing to do with the question that I was working on. And I welled up, and I was trying to contain what I was feeling, and I was feeling like I had to release. So what I did was I contained it. I somehow compartmentalized those feelings, what I was sensing. And I was able to put it aside and just get right back to the reading. This was just a matter of seconds. And I later found out, after I was done doing the readings, that this is when I was doing readings with someone else, another reader. And I was later told by this fellow reader that someone very close to them, family member, had passed away. And this wasn't expressed before we were doing the readings. It was expressed afterwards. And it was just strange. I just couldn't place where those feelings came up. But here's an example of being highly sensitive, even through the internet, with other people's situations. So what we need to do, how I handle that afterwards, is I had excess energy. I had excess emotions that came from that, and I had to let it go. I had to release it. So I was done for the rest of the night, day, for doing any form of reading, because it was so heavy, and I was feeling the other person's sadness, that when you get something that heavy, you have to take care of it immediately, because in turn it will affect you emotionally, mentally, and physically if you allow it. And I wasn't going to let that happen. So I just basically shut down everything, and I took a moment to assess and just breathed. And you start visualizing. You want to be back to the place that you were before you started getting that energy. That place that you were before something negative or heavy comes into you is a place of grounding and a place of light and of strength. And for that day, my energy wasn't as high as it should have been, so that I could have fully protect myself. I'm not going to say it was a down day, but the energy was lower. So when it comes to situations like that, where you are being asked to do a reading online and your energy just isn't there, okay, don't get overwhelmed. What's really important, and you'll probably see quite a few readers when they're working, lots of water. You have to keep this going throughout the time that you're doing readings. Stay hydrated. Hydrate before, hydrate during, and hydrate afterwards. There's a lot of, I mentioned the term vibrational energy that you're picking up. And I think more so, I feel that those energies are heightened with people that you don't know. And so as a reader, you feel like you have to put a little bit more work, more protection. And then when this energy comes in with the person that you're reading for, and depending where they're coming from, you're going to be well guarded, or you're going to feel that sensation. And when you acknowledge, like, this person has a lot of good stuff that's going on, but has a few questions about some other things, you could pick that up. For someone who's really heavy, and for readers and paths of all metaphysical practices, you can feel that. You can feel that. And that's where you have to stand your ground, keep focused, breathe. If you feel that energy coming in immediately as the person enters the room, or as they go in front of the camera, put light. Light is the best form of protection. And some of you may say, well, how about black? Black is a form, is a color, is an energy force of protection. It is, but you have to know how to use it and how to work with it. If you're going to use black, you want to dispel the negativity, but you can also use white energy to turn that heaviness around and to make it positive. And that's something, it's almost a skill and an inherent intuitive skill that only a few people have, where they can find someone that's just very heavy, turn that energy around and throw it back to them. Not throw it, but, emit it back to them. Because when you're doing readings, and you have all these different personalities and energies that are coming in, you're the one, you being the reader, you're the one that's in charge. If you let down your guard, show any kind of vulnerability, that's going to be against you, and that's going to be more for the advantage of the person that you're doing the reading for. So it's very important to breathe. If you're doing a reading in person, or like I said, online, and you feel that energy being heavy, excuse yourself. Just, tell the person I need to step away for a moment, and it's none of their business to ask why. You just need to step away for a moment. They're there for you. And if you're not there fully, you have to prepare yourself so that when you step away and come back, you can continue on. And that's why this is so important, staying hydrated, because there is all of that you're taking in. Okay. That's the first part. People that you're connecting with. Then the energy that you put into your readings. You're looking at this and you're listening to the inquiry of the person that you're doing the reading for. You're taking in all that energy and you're putting it into the cards and creating your energy, which is to be balanced so that you can have clarity and an insight when it comes to doing those readings. Because if you're lacking one of those things, the reading isn't going to be clear to you, and the interpretation is going to be a little confusing. So you're the one in charge, the reader, and they have to accept and respect your space, your time, and who you are. And if they can't do that, then it's not worth doing the reading. So you take that time that you need. And there are readers that immediately, if someone comes in for a reading and it's not good, don't do it for the sake of money. There could be something bad going on with that person that whether or not they're willingly knowing of it could affect you. And so if it's that intense of energy, I personally would refuse the reading. It's not worth it, especially when you have other readings that could be coming on afterwards. You don't want to do a reading and you're all drained out because of the person's energy and the outcome or whatever you felt that was coming from the cards. That could be draining. And that takes time, that takes skill, that takes practice to overcome it. And in a sense, you almost have to, almost shut yourself off. And I think too, that's a bit of an advantage when you don't know someone, because you do the reading. Here's another perspective. You do a reading for someone and they take what they want from it. There's a good chance you may not see them again. And then and then that's it. And then you may be blessed and lucky enough that you have some clients that are just They are coming from a place of honesty and just looking for answers. We're not psychologists. We're not here to have baggage thrown onto us. I'm not saying that everyone who comes in to do readings are doing that. But I think also too, there's a line, an ethical line when it comes to doing certain readings. I don't do any readings that are related to health outcomes, anything medical, mentally, emotionally, physically. You go to a doctor, you go to a specialist. We can't diagnose what's going on. We can't tell how your chemo treatment's going to be. That's medical. The same with legal and financial issues. We're not consultants in that. There are professionals that do that. There are financial advisors, lawyers, legal consultants, based on your needs. Those are the people that you go and see. And also predictive readings. People want to know when this is going to happen. Who am I going to meet? All of questions like that. Those readings I stay clear from because there's a liability issue. You don't want to say, yeah, I think you're going to meet this person who is, especially if you start giving physical descriptions and it doesn't end up working the way that you describe to them, there's a potential that there's a backlash and may come back to you, and the person may come back and cause a grievance. And that's why it's always important to have those disclosure forms, to protect yourself from any legal actions or anything like that. So there's that kind of protection as well when it comes to working with clients. But overall, when it comes to our energy, be kind to yourself in every way possible. Do not push yourself. If you're allotted time to do readings, because there are people who do readings online for a business. They work for a company, or they do it themselves, or they work at a brick and mortar business. Take those breaks. There's no reason to push yourself. Again, people are here for guidance from you. And they'll pick it up. They'll pick up your energy. They'll pick it up like this person is very, very focused, grounded, or this person has a lot of energy, exuberance. And clients like all sorts of different personalities for readings. But for the most part, you want to be authentic to yourself. And doing so, it'll come across in the way that you read your cards, in the way that you speak to your client, in the way that you interpret the readings. And I think the best thing that comes out of this is actually helping these individuals, guiding, I shouldn't say helping, but guiding these individuals, and then seeing the results, seeing them making choices that they did on their own with the guidance of the cards or through astrology, any other of the different divinatory forms. That to me is the blessing that comes out when doing these kinds of readings. It's seeing people actually making use. They paid for a service, and it's a shame that they don't follow through with it, but that's their choice. So, there's no guilt on our side. But if you start seeing people coming back many times over, asking the same thing, they're not doing it. They're not making that effort. So there's also that kind of responsibility that we shouldn't have to take upon ourselves. It's their will and the direction that they want to make their choices and actions that will determine the outcome. Plain and simple. I say to each and every one of the people that I do readings with, for the most part, that it's ultimately your choice. If you want to ace your final exams, you're going to work hard. You know, you can get whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. You got to just, as always, you got to put the time and the effort. And there are different ways that people approach, these situations. Some people just jump head into it and they know exactly what they want. Those are the go-getters. Those are the entrepreneurs that just really love what they're doing and they believe in it and they feel that they could take it as far as they can. And that's what's important. So those are a few of my thoughts when it comes to the experience of spiritual energy protection when doing readings. Tools that you can use. I'm going to move this a little upward. This I love. You can't see it all the way, I'll move it up. There we go. I got my cross brooms for protection. I have my pentacle. I have brooms, pentacles in this home. This is a reflection of myself, the way I have my house set up and the corners protected, and it feels good. Things could be really tense or whatever outside, but as soon as I walk through the door and I come home, I feel good. I feel safe. And if I don't feel as strong energy-wise, I amplify it. I put on music. This is sort of going away from when doing readings, but to take care of yourself physically, emotionally, spiritually, I put on music that's uplifting, that will help create stability. Candles. I do work with candles a lot. I use the elements, the color elements. When I do readings, I like to have a little bit of color in my candles. White is good, but I like to have a little bit, I like to have a color. Is that just that little bit of color amplifies things. Incense. Careful with incense because I do have a cat, and so their lungs are very small, so you have to be very careful when having incense when they're in the house. If you're going to do something at night, make sure that the cat is away, or if it's not too cold outside, open windows, because ideally that's where the incense and the intention that you're putting into it needs to go outside. You don't want to keep that energy or that that intention contained in the house. It has to go out. So open the doors, open the windows when you're burning some incense. Sage, Palo Santo. It's a good way of clearing energy. Dragon's blood is another incense that you can use. It's very strong. Doesn't have a bad smell, but it's very, very strong. And it can linger. So you just need a little bit of the dragon's blood. But yeah, surround yourself with the elements that you need that will help you bring things into balance. So I keep it very basic. If you surround yourself with tons of crystals, and no offense to people who love crystals, crystals are wonderful. But for me, I just use a few. I just hold it. Or have it nearby on my cards, near my cards when doing readings. I also have this, which was gifted to me. Okay, it looks like a rosary, but it isn't. This was gifted to me. It's cloves. This was gifted to me by a neighbor, and this cloves is basically for good health. But I was also reading that clove oil, particularly, is good for empaths. It helps put that energy at a grounding and stable manner. So if you feel like you may be going to a situation where it's not going to be all that safe, clove kind of helps keep things. Frankincense and myrrh, that's a staple when it comes to meditation or anything spiritual. It's a very light scent. It's very cleansing. I love working with that. And so those are just some of the things, read books for different tools that you can use to help empower your energy. Also the clothes that you wear, keep things light, I feel, when you're doing readings. And also your comfort level, if it's cold and you want to wear something dark or heavier, by all means do so. Stones, jewelry is always good to have, especially the necklace here, because this is what we're using when we communicate for our readings. So you want to keep this area clear. And also here as well, maybe put some oils that keeps the mind very light and open. But yeah, protect yourself in every way you can. Don't allow the energy of someone else that you're doing a reading for overtake you, overwhelm you. You have that moment to say to the client, I need to step away for a minute. You have the right to tell the client, I can't do this reading right now. We can reschedule, but I just can't do it right now. Or if the client is just not in a well mentally situation, obviously don't do the reading. Be kind, though. You have to watch for the person's sensitivity. If it's someone that you feel that you just cannot do a reading for, you don't have to explain to them. Explaining again is just giving in to that person that you're doing the reading for. Just tell them you can't do the reading right now and you can reschedule another time, or it's just not a good fit. Maybe refer them to another reader. So those are my thoughts. This is me, personal opinion about doing these practices for protecting your energy. It's very simple, but you also have to be very aware not to push yourself too much and to give yourself the space. So thank you, B. Ikale Sunflower. It gave me some food for thought. So the next time I go into a series of readings, I will be prepared, probably a little bit more than usual, and see how that experience works from, lifting up that heavy energy and putting yourself in a place of strength and of balance. Any questions, any comments? I'd love to hear from other readers who practice. If you've had similar experiences, feel free to share, if you like, how you ground yourself, how you protect yourself. I know this has been discussed many, many times, but this is something that I haven't come across in a while. So I figured, let me just share some thoughts about this, and I'd love to get the feedback from everyone else. So let me know. Stay protected, drink tons of water. You'll see me when I'm doing my videos, whether they're live or recorded. I have a bottle right next to me. And it keeps me going, keeps me balanced. Alrighty, this is Amy, Mystic Rose Tarot, signing off. I will catch you again soon. Thank you for listening, watching, and your support. Feel free to subscribe and to keep in touch. I am available for readings. Everything's in the description, so you can reach out for me there if you are interested.